Welcome to our live stream of high school sports. Please note that this broadcast is produced by an independent team of sports enthusiasts, and the views, opinions, and commentary expressed are solely those of the commentators and not representative of the schools, teams, or athletes featured. While we strive for accuracy, occasional errors or misstatements may occur. This stream is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Thank you for joining us and enjoy the show.
Yeah, let's go. Hey, you ain't never seen nothing like this. Ain't no telling how it might get. It's the hypest right here. High school sports at its finest. So many highlights, you have to rewind it. Hey, Stream City, let me just remind ya. The heart of a lion, a team full of fighters. So many stars on the field, it'll blind ya. They're giving everything they got till the time's up. Yeah, legends in the making. History is made. We just getting started. You ain't seen a thing. YSN, gotta know the name. They gon' bring the flames. They gon' do their thing. Don't hold back. High school, got a passion and we show that. Got the drive and you know they got the heart. Number one spot for your high school sports. Let's go for the win.
Hey. And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Thursday to you. It is YSN Live. DJ Yoakley alongside the 8-time best-selling author, as well as world traveler, Grammy, Emmy Award winner, Pulitzer Prize, Peace Prize nominee. Did not win, but he was up for it. Ladies and gentlemen, Anthony Ronald Parkley.
We'll get him next year, guys.
We'll be better. We'll be better. I don't know. What do you do to get the Pulitzer Prize?
The Pulitzer is for journalism.
Oh, we're screwed.
We're done. The Peace Prize, there's a bunch of different categories. So,
do you think you feel more confident about the Peace Prize at this point?
Well, you have more chances in the Peace Prize because you can kind of throw your hat into different categories. You can, throw spaghetti at the wall a little bit more.
You're gonna get the Peace Prize for throwing spaghetti.
Yeah.
Mom spaghetti.
Spaghetti, yeah. Palms are sweaty.
Your knees weak?
Yeah, always.
There's some people that are not going to get that joke. I got it. Well done, Ronnie. Well done. A lot of talk about sports naturally around the area, around the region. Talk some hoops. As Anthony has been you've been out there, man. You have been out there. You have been putting these unbelievable stories together, making sure everybody gets a highlight reel story. And then naturally, we have a great interview with Chris Colucci. Fur Dog is out there just knocking down interviews. And the first one, I got to tell you, incredibly impressive with Tyson Seashoulder star that is now a commit of Drexel. So we will have that in just a few minutes. Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. Pretty big deal. He's a young man who I've loved talking to Tyson since I feel like he was a puppy. It feels like he's been around forever because he has been an impact guy every single year since he's been in high school. So, I mean, you're talking about, he was a football player that chose to focus on his wrestling dreams, which I can appreciate, certainly, because those wrestling dreams were pretty realized at a very young age. And, his family certainly behind him and a great family. And you can tell immediately with Tyson about the kind of character that he has and where it comes from. So looking forward to everybody seeing this debut of I believe he's calling it the Wrestling Rundown or something like that. So, hey, for branding the YSN wrestling stuff, I appreciate it, brothers. Keep on keeping on. But Anthony, before we get to the legendary Tyson Seashoulder, let's talk about hoops in this area. You've had the absolute luxury and pleasure of going around to some of the gyms in the Valley. What are you seeing early on in the 25-26 season about hoops?
A lot of talent, DJ. There's on both sides. We're seeing maybe some of the. I mean, I think we say this every year, but they kind of the teams kind of one up each other every year because there's so much widespread talent. We're not seeing, maybe a couple years ago we saw maybe 3 or 4 teams with all the talent, and then there was a bunch of other teams that just didn't have it. There's talent everywhere this year in girls basketball and boys basketball as well. And then we're seeing some clutchness too. We're seeing some game-winning shots finally come up on Tuesday. We had a couple of weeks where it was, okay, when's that big game going to happen? When are we going to see some buzzer beaters, some overtime thrillers? And we finally got it on Tuesday. We had Bryce Roberts hit a buzzer beater to get Canfield the win over East. We have Senator Johnson with the rebound and putback to get the Clippers the win over United in overtime. You finally got a little piece of that, what makes basketball so special. That end of the game, flair, dramatics, the buzzer beaters. There's nothing like a buzzer beater in basketball. It's just so fun. And we finally got a couple of those on Tuesday, I should say.
I know we always talk about, and we hear coaches speak, not so much anymore. I mean, for the last probably 2 years, I would say coaches are starting to get away from talking about the kind of prepackaged, well, it doesn't really matter until we get after Christmas and after New Year's. That's when the real kind of bread is baked in the oven. When you think about the last 2 years, some of these stronger starts have been the teams that have been there at the end, and they've been able to get better seeding because of the stronger starts. We're seeing Cardinal Mooney with a pretty impressive start on there. When you think about that kind of that understanding of kind of what coaches are, kind of already, I don't want to say waving the white flag here, but do you think that mentality is going away? And is these games don't matter, it doesn't matter until we get here, and then if the second half of the season essentially doesn't go your way, well, it doesn't matter until we get to playoffs because it's not the same.
Yeah, I think we're starting to see the beginning of the season matter a little bit more because I think coaches are starting to stack the beginning of the season with some of their tougher games. We're seeing, for example, Canfield girls have already had 2 trips where they're going to these little tournaments, these events where one school is hosting a bunch of big name programs, and they're going to go to one more before the season's over at South Range. But like this weekend, they're going to Worcester Triway for a big one. They've already went to a big one before this. Those are when we used to see teams kind of hold off on those and then have their big games towards the end and just be like, okay, we're going to fit all of our really tough games right before the tournament. And now all of a sudden, Max Preps has made it different where Max Preps doesn't care when you play those teams, as far as seeding wise. It says, did you play those big teams? Are you getting those Max Preps points for it? Because remember, basketball is the only sport, outside of football, of course, that does the computer stuff, that is not coach voted. So it is all based on what Max Preps kind of ranks you as for the tournament. So these coaches are saying, well, it doesn't really matter anymore when we play these teams. Let's just go get them in the beginning of the season so we can find out really quickly what we have to do. And then we have more time to work on that. If you find out your flaws in the second to last game of the season, you have a couple of practices to figure it out before tournament starts. But now these coaches are starting to figure out, okay, what are our gaps? What don't we do well in the first 2 weeks of the season? And they have all season to kind of figure it out through conference play, figure it out through the games that aren't going to necessarily either humble them per se. You go to Hoban for Howland last night. Howland's a good team. Hoban is very, very good. So Hoban humbled them a little bit. But that's a game where Aaron Pounds can look like and say, okay, we know exactly what we're not doing well, and now we have the rest of December, January, and February to all work on it and to fix it. If you had that Hoban game in February, it would have been like, oh, well, I guess we have to try to fix that in 2 weeks. And good luck with that.
Sean with some comments in the popcorn section. When you're talking about Mineral Ridge and the Mineral Ridge basketball teams, really anything Mineral Ridge, they're always going to be a tough out. Let's talk about teams. Sean's talking about Ridge. Anthony, what teams have stood out to you in the early going of the basketball season that you think maybe might be a contender down the stretch?
Well, Sean's right. The Mineral Ridge boys and girls might be like the two-headed power show. Every year there's like one school that has a great program in both, And right now, the girls are undefeated. The boys are early in the season. The boys have Chase Moore, who's putting on a show, and he's had double figures every single game that he's played. Sullivan Sandy has scored 20 points at least in every game that she's played. So both those teams look like they're on a very big run and a very big, special things happening. But then you go into Canfield, both those teams on the boys and girls side look very good. And then, Crestview obviously has Addison Rhodes. We all know what she's doing, averaging over 30 points per game. That's pretty impressive. A couple, but then I think the biggest thing that I've seen, TJ, and the biggest kind of storyline, how about the freshman out of Southern Local on the girls' side? Katie Kellogg has a quadruple double this year. I'd never seen a quadruple double before. She
I
had
see them
10 plus steals, 10 plus rebounds, 10 plus assists, 10 plus points. That is very hard to do. I don't care who you're playing, because especially like the assists, like you're relying on your teammates to hit shots too. So to get a quadruple double as a freshman, that's pretty impressive. And I got to see her live on Monday. She's good. She's very good. So Southern, they're not hurting right now. Mike Skrinjar has a lot of tools in the chest to use in that EOAC. They're going to be hard to beat. They play Columbiana next week. I'm circling that game a couple of times.
Was I gone for a minute there?
Thursday. What?
Was I gone for a minute there?
No, I don't think so. If you were, I couldn't tell. I was focused on talking, but next Thursday, Southern at Columbiana. Gonna be a good one.
Huge, exciting. I don't trust my internet right now, Anthony. So I'm gonna try to shut down some of these screens before we segue into the Tyson C. Schultz interview, because I don't want us to be like in the middle of it and all of a sudden it pops back out to us. So. From a standpoint, you mentioned Kellogg from Southern Local. Lisbon also started out pretty hot, did they not?
Yeah, they were 4-0, and now they're 5-2 on the season. They have a couple of scorers. Jaden Smith last year was pretty much, the one that kind of lifted the weight on offense. But now Lila Brown is scoring really well. They have Newborn scoring well. Last night when they played Wellsville, they had, I think, 4 players scored at least 7 points, so they're starting to find a little bit of a groove. They went up against Southern, and you could tell, Southern took the momentum and took the sales pretty early, but you could also see it, and Coach Meeks and probably used this as well. There was a stretch there where Lisbon kind of proved to themselves, I think, they can play this game. I think they just have to believe that a little bit. I think they lost a little bit of belief, and they let the Indians kind of just take control and momentum of that game. I think it could have been a lot closer than it was. Obviously, the final score is not what Lisbon wanted, but you look at the way that game flowed in the first 5 minutes of the game. Lisbon was running with them. They were forcing turnovers. They were right there. They were making shots. And then, a couple of bad things happened, and it felt like that kind of deflated the team. If they can get away from that and play with that same 5-minute effort they had in the first quarter throughout the whole game, and always kind of have that confidence and belief in themselves, Lisbon can be pretty dangerous. But when you're a team that's trying to build a winning culture, it's hard to have that mindset all the time. You kind of go into some games that you've lost in the past, and you just kind of, it's happening again. So you got to get past that and go in and expect to win these games, and that'll come with time for that Lisbon program.
We've talked about the teams now. Obviously, a lot left on the Garson teams, but we've got a lot of runway to do it this year. With all the hoops that we're going to be covering Monday through Thursday right here on YSN Live. Anthony, real quick, we talked to Alyssa Brown, the 1,000-point scorer. That's got to feel good for her to hear that attached to her name every time we talk about her. Early runners for players of the year. We saw Sean in the comments talking about Addison Rhodes being maybe an early pick to be player of the year again. Who's got your eye on the boys' side and the girls' side for early contenders for POI?
On the boys' side right now, the players that I've been able to see and kind of get a scope on, I think one of the big names that you're going to hear a lot this year, we said Chase Moore earlier, but I'd also think you go into Ursuline and you see what Jalen Gunther is doing. Mm-hmm. He's 1 year older, 1 year more mature. When you look at that game that they played against Austintown Fitch on Tuesday, you could just see a little bit more basketball IQ, a little bit more maturity from his game. And that's dangerous because everything else is absolutely there. The raw talent is there, the ability is there, the strength is there, the shooting is there. So you just have to up a little bit of basketball IQ there too. And you do that with every year you kind of play. And he's obviously played year round. So you have a little bit more maturity, a little bit more basketball IQ. That's a dangerous player in Ursuline with Jalen Gunther. And he still has Don Bell there too, that is going to, cause problems inside. So I think Jalen Gunther is a big name that you're going to be watching. Bryce Roberts from Canfield with his buzzer beater is going to be another player that I think we watched all season and is in that conversation. And then on the girls' side, Addison Rhodes is obviously the easy pick, but Sullivan Sandy, like I said, has had at least 20 points in every game that she's played. You look at players like Claire Urchek from Maplewood that's averaging double figures right now and getting rebounds. And then you look at Canfield and what they're putting together. Jenna Treveri is having a very good start to the season. So you have a couple of names in there. I know Addison Rhodes is the big one that everyone's kind of talking about because what she's doing, and no shade there, but there's also people in the conversation that are trying to, squeak their way into it a little bit.
Let's not forget, I thought I saw our buddy Austin Rowe cross the 1,000-point threshold
on
the
Tuesday.
Other night. Congratulations, Rowe. Appreciate you as always.
He came into the season needing 37 points for 1,000. He scored 32 in his first game of the year. So he came into Tuesday in the second game needing just 5 points. So everyone kind of knew like this was it. But you go in needing 37. You don't really maybe that'll come in 3 games. But Austin said, you know what? He almost took care of it in 1. And then he cleaned up in his second game. It was a big win for LeBray against Girard by 1 point, 71-70.
And knowing Austin, it's probably like, I want to get rid of it in 1 game just so we can move on from it. And we turn the page and we can focus on the task at hand, which is potentially a big year for LeBray on the hardwood, which, dude, they're still the sickest court, I think, across the entire area. I love that court.
And Austin Rowe also doing double duty because he's also broadcasting the girls' games for the second year.
Dude, he's a stallion. He never not working. Is Austin Rowe, and he's very good at it, by the way, which is no surprise because he's incredible on the basketball court, knows what he's talking about. And shout out my buddy Owen Hill down at Beaver Local, who is, I believe, the all-time leading scorer
all time
in Beaver Local history, which says a lot. So congratulations to Owen Hill. He is going to West Liberty, I believe, following in so many great Beaver Local Beavers footsteps, going to West Liberty and to take his talents down there and trade in the red and white for the black and gold, baby. The Hilltoppers, they got a good one in Owen Hill. Hope to get him on the show here in the not too distant future. So love talking to him. I interviewed him, I believe, as a freshman, and he was terrified, but he still knocked it out of the park. So I'm sure with all these great accolades, interviewing now, he's got a lot to talk about. So can't wait to talk to him. And of course, if you want to be interviewed here on YSN Live, it's real quick. It's real easy. All you got to do is send us a message, line it up. Anthony's got an awesome little pre-interview
kind of survey.
Yeah, just giving some details about yourself or your student athlete or whatever. Yeah, I mean, it's just a precursor. Is really what it is. Build some validity to it, and then we'll go from there. We'll get you on, hopefully within the hours of 12 and 1 o'clock, Monday through Thursday. But if not, we can record those too, and it's for any sport. So we try to keep them kind of relative to the season at hand. So winter sports right now, if we could, we don't really want to dive into softball, baseball, spring sports, or go backwards into the fall sports unless there's something big that happened and we missed it.
Unless you're committing. If you're committing, then all sports are game.
Even still, that's tough, right? That's tough. It's tough, but we'll do it. Anthony loves commitments.
If someone wants to have a live commitment exclusively on YSN, I say I don't care what season you're in. Let's do it.
We could do that. Hey, that's the caveat, right? That is the outline. We're happy to do that because those are fun.
And we've had 2 of those this year. So hey, if you want to make your commitment on YSN exclusively, let's do it.
Can we get one that somebody does the hats and like?
I did that for Kylie Folkwine.
Oh my gosh.
Well, our version of it because we didn't have the hat set up on her end, but I had like 6 hats. I was like, "Is this one?" Nope. Threw it back. Is this one?
Wait, you did it?
Yeah.
You didn't even give her the moment. Anthony's like, this is it.
I say,
I've been
hey,
waiting for this.
Are we going to LSU? No, I'm not going. Okay, we're not going to LSU. Are you doing this? No, we're not doing this. All right, are you doing this? No, and we did that like, I don't know. It was fun. We did that like I think for 12 teams before we got to Syracuse, but it was fun. It was a fun time. We had fun with it.
Dang Hartwig kid. He's been waiting for that moment his whole life. Anthony's seen it. He's like, Kylie, do you mind if I do it? I want to do the hat thing. If you
I couldn't ship her my hats and be like, here you go.
She lives in Austin Town. It's not like you guys could meet halfway 5 minutes away at a local pizza joint. Give me this. I can't do this.
Poorly
crap.
planned.
Congratulations, Kylie Folkwine. And thank you for giving Anthony his moment in the sun, which he so much deserves. On we go to the task at hand, the interview at hand. Chris Colucci sat down with South Range superstar wrestler Drexel commit, which is awesome to hear. Ladies and gentlemen, the sit down, the wrestling rundown with Tyson C. Schultz.
And ysnlive.com, a little special show I'm going to start doing off this winter season. I'm your host, Chris Colucci. Like I said, it says fur in that corner. That's my nickname. That's what everyone calls me. Everyone could call me that if you see me out at wrestling events. So the last couple years, we've been doing Instagram on social media. We're out to many more different social media accounts so we can have just totally expand wrestling. I'm bringing more people on this year to call wrestling events this winter. I'm super excited, and this is one of the new things that we're doing as well. We are doing interviews with coaches, wrestlers, former wrestlers in our area that are now in college. I have a lot of stuff planned and a lot of big things planned for this upcoming year. But today we have a very special guest, 3-time state qualifier, 2-time state placer, places a freshman and a junior. Last year was a state runner-up in Division III. Just committed to a very big school, and I wrestled with him. He was one of my teammates. I wish I could say I was one of the best at South Range, but he just tears it up, and that's what I wanted. He's an awesome kid, great family, and I can't wait to talk to him. So, well, no more waiting. Now let me introduce you to the Tyson C. Schultz from South Range.
Good, dude. That was a very nice intro of you. That was very sweet. I appreciate that.
No problem. Well, at a high caliber wrestler like you are, we gotta roll it out big and start out big.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So let's get into it. For the people that don't know, who is Tyson C. Schultz?
I'm a high school senior out of South Range, Ohio. I'm a wrestler. I love my school, love my team, and I'm committed to Drexel University, their Division I school out of Philadelphia, PA, and I just love the sport, love competing, and just love my school. So, yeah.
Well, you committed to Drexel, very big Division I, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, Division I wrestling is no joke. I don't care who you are. You obviously wrestle. I wrestled. I mean, I've been around wrestling for a very long time. Any competition of wrestling is tough. High school, we go even back to youth at OAC. OAC, you were what, 2-time state champion OAC?
Yeah.
OAC is the youth wrestling for Ohio. That's actually held at the Cavelli Center down in Youngstown. But junior high, there's new steps to everything. In high school, it's very difficult, and you've accomplished that very well in high school wrestling. And now you're going on to a Division I program, which Division I wrestling is very, very tough. Not saying Division II or Division III isn't, but
it's a job. It's a full-time gig.
It's a full-time job, and then you have school on top of it. Kudos to you. It was something that I wish I could do, but I just knew it wasn't in my my hand of playing cards. So let's backtrack. Let's go back to last year. State runner-up. How'd last year go for Tyson C. Schultz? Give us a little rundown.
So, obviously, I had a very blessed year. I was the, as you've said, state runner-up. my season was riddled with a lot of injuries. I was injured for a lot of the year, very minor stuff, but I'd be out for 2 to 3 week periods at a time. So a lot of it was battling through that type of adversity, and it was the hardest I had ever worked in my entire life, trying to make that goal of, state championship, a gold, and, the gold medal was my goal. And it was everything I had to, give it. But it was tough, but very grateful. And I'm a much tougher person because of it.
So you come off that heartbreaking loss in the finals. And I know, as any wrestler would be, the off season is where you get better. Talk to me about what tournaments you wrestled in the off season, what freestyle, what Greco things you did in the off season. What'd you do what did Tyson do to get Tyson Seasoltz better?
So the first thing I started doing was I increased the workload. I wake up every day at like 4:45-ish, 4:50-ish, like every weekday, at least, on competition days, I like to sleep in, but I wake up and I work out in the morning. It's the first thing I do, take a shower, get ready for school. And then I have practice after that, and then practice some nights after that, like tonight. But during the summer, it was the same thing. I'd be working out 2 to 3 times a day, as, opposed to last year, it was only like once or twice a day. But, some of the extra wrestling that I did was I worked out at Green Machine, which is an awesome club right here in Youngstown. It's at Austintown. It's held by the Austintown guys. And they got me on the national team. I wrestled not for Team Ohio, like I wasn't on the dual team, but I went to nationals for the first time this year. I was up a weight class at 175 pounds and, won 5 matches out there, so it was a blast. It was a really good time. And then folk style season is, right after that, and dropped a little bit of weight, competed at 165, and then had Super 32, which I'm sure you'll explain, but is the hardest tournament in the country. And, did well out there. I was the only kid to take down the number 1 kid in the country, Melvin Miller, not to name drop, but he's pretty good. And I keep that one close to my chest. So.
Well, that sounds like a crazy and a lot of travel.
It was an expensive summer for sure.
But, we've spent a lot of time, my family and your family, we spent a lot of time together, and we've even went on a couple trips to go wrestling. I remember the Virginia Beach trip, which was a lot of fun.
That was a blast. Anytime I think about that, it's just like good vibes,
Oh, it was awesome. Right
awesome.
On the beach. It was actually the first wrestling competition I did outside of South Range.
Really?
Like going down somewhere, and then I loved it so much. We went with some team 2.5 hours away down to Florida and wrestled in the Disney duels, which was pretty fun. But so that was going into my senior year. Now you're in your senior year. Every year, everyone's got goals. We've always, even when I was a senior, you were a freshman. A lot of us saw you as a leader. We knew you had it in you. You were a freshman, but we saw that leadership in you, and you've been a captain your sophomore, junior, and senior year.
Yeah.
It just continues, and it really shows a person who you really are. So talk to me about being a captain and what kind of goals you got this upcoming season.
I feel very blessed to have been chosen by my team to be a captain. Obviously the coaches have a say in it, but every year Coach Frank has a vote, and it's the team that comes together and actually votes you in as a captain. So, it's all about the guys. It's one of the reasons is the relationships and the camaraderie from my team. And, I love those dudes. I work together, bleed together. We go through hard stuff together. Long tournaments, like just last week at the Hickory Invitational, I was wrestling at 11:30 at night, and it's funny, during my match, everybody has like a little mid match anxiety that sometimes happens. And I know I have it, but I heard a voice over in the crowd. It was Eddie Stackowitz, my boy. And he screamed, he's loud. He screamed at the top of his lungs. He's like, "You got this, Ty." And, that little extra vote of confidence, like, gave me a jolt of energy, so it's about the boys, it's about your friends. It's about your team. So
let's move on. Let's look. I know athletes, they don't like to look in the future too much, but we got to talk. It wouldn't be a proper interview if I didn't talk about Drexel. From coming from a small D3 school in Ohio to going to a Division I program. Why did you pick Drexel?
Dude, that's like a layered question. It's so hard to pick one reason why. When I first sent my email to them, I want to say it wasn't the next day, but it was about a week later. They were like, "Hey, fill out this questionnaire. Like, we love to talk to you more." And like, out of all the colleges I had talked to, they were the ones that were like immediately like picked up the phone, talked to me, were the first ones to really make me feel welcomed at like a program and like they were interested. And, I started talking to the coaches, liked what they were selling to me. Took an overnight, loved the campus, loved the school. I love the city. The area is nice. That part of Philly that they're in is really, really pretty. You got UPenn right across the street. You got Temple right across the street. You got Philadelphia like economy at your fingertips when you go there. So, just this past weekend, they sold out the DAC to wrestle Penn State. So they're not afraid of big schools, Big Ten schools. They're not afraid to, get in there and step out on the mat and show them, what they've got. So they're a very gutsy team, and they, I haven't been exposed to one of their practices, but everything that Coach Morrow tells me, that Coach Az tells me, that, what I'm looking for. They're looking at like they're gritty almost, and obviously the financials and schooling and everything else about it. So, and they have one of the top 100 business programs, which is the major I'm going into. And they're number 2 on some websites in entrepreneurship, which is what I'm interested in as well. So
that's awesome. I mean, that seems like a bunch of pros. It's probably hard to pass up on a team like that, and it's really hungry, wants to face good competition, because I'm a big believer in, when you're wrestling people that are worse than you, you're not getting better. You want to wrestle people that are better than you for yourself to get better. And going out and wrestling Penn State, who's won, I don't know, 12 of the last 15, I don't know, that might even be low.
Well, you see, they just got ranked below Ohio State today.
Really?
Yes, they're number 2 to Ohio State.
That'll be a duel to watch.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to watch that. My dad's got Big Ten Network, so we'll be tuning in for that for sure.
What are some of your goals that you want to accomplish while being at Drexel?
Well, so, they have a really good guy on their team. His name's Josiah Queen. He's their 174. So obviously the first step is cracking the lineup. They want me at 165 to 184, wherever like my body grows to, or, I fit in best for their program. So first step, surviving the room, cracking the lineup. The second step is, winning matches, being confident, believing in myself, going out there and, like I was saying, being gritty. And then the ultimate goal is to be their first All-American. If Josiah Queen at 174 doesn't do it, I'll do it, and that's my goal, is to be an All-American, I guess.
It's a pretty high goal, but if there's someone I know that can do it, it's definitely you. Who are as a senior, captain, a leader, you see everything that goes on in the room. You're not just worried about Tyson. You got to worry about the other 20 kids that are in the room, make sure they're not, messing around or, doing the right things to get where they need to be at that state podium at the end of the year. So who are some of the young kids that we're really going to be wanting to look out for in 2-3 years when they're juniors and seniors?
Definitely the duo in the room right now is Scotty and Vivo. They're pretty tough. Vivo just took, I want to say 6th or 5th, one or the other. I think it was 6, but in his finals match, he didn't stop wrestling. He was you know, if he wasn't on the attack, he was at least looking to improve position. Like he's a gutsy dude, and so is Scott. Scott's a goer. He's going to be good. And if my buddy Ryan keeps on keeping on, he's going to be good next year. He's going to make it to the States. So
now let's do a complete 180 on that question. When you were a 8th grade freshman, sophomore, who were some? And you don't got to say me. You don't got to say me. Come on. But
I was going to say yours truly, but
who were some of those kids you looked up to? You followed in their footsteps. You wanted to have a career like.
Well, there's a guy named Fur. I don't know if you know him, but no, I mean Jake obviously was one of the biggest reasons I even made the state tournament freshman year. He he was so fast compared to my little 9th grade self. He was so quick. He was so strong, so fast. Like it was hard to keep up. But like you said, if you don't wrestle those better kids, you won't get to that next level. So he was the person that pushed me to that next level. And obviously it was very inspiring to watch JR battle through all his injuries, man. And he'd be heavy at 144 and he'd make that weight class every single week that we had a dual tournament, whatever. And then Hunter, especially now, he's making waves at Mount Olive. He just tech followed some kid, like some highly ranked Division II wrestler from Mount Olive at their recent dual meet. So, I mean, everybody that I had freshman year, I look up to. They were all leaders in the room. Yeah, even though you guys teased Hunter a little too much, but it's whatever.
Hunter had it coming. Come on. Now.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't say he had it coming, but some of the stuff that he'd say was funny.
No, but you know what? The thing with Hunter is, not only could he could take it, but he could dish it out too.
Yeah, he was tough. He was tough enough to take it, and you'd honestly see it put him like he put it on in the wrestling room too. I think you guys were giving him fuel a little bit.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. And that's just a part of the brotherhood with wrestling. You're in, and I'll say it, and I'll fight I'll fight with anyone to the day I die. Wrestling is the hardest sport that any athlete can go through. Pain.
It's so hard. It's a cliche at this point, how difficult it is, and everybody says it, but you don't realize it until you're in it,
The injuries you saw a kid fight Jacob Richardson, fight through 2 torn labrums and still make it to the state tournament. Like people don't understand that side of this sport. The conditioning you got to be in, it's 6 straight minutes of, going crazy. War. Exactly. It's a great way to put it, is war. And it's such a tough sport. And when you're I'm trying to remember the point that I'm hitting here, and now I remember it. When you're in a room for an hour and a half a day to 2 hours with the same people, it's tensions are gonna go head to head, and that's what brings us together, is when we can resolve it, come together, and go back to what we all want to do, is get on the top of that state podium at the end of the year. Yeah. That's what makes a brotherhood. That's why I love this sport so much. The camaraderie you build is amazing. And I encourage any young athlete to try this sport. And I think you would say the same.
Yeah. And I mean, you struggle together. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's so much that you struggle with that, with your team, with those people that you drag your guys through the mud, right? And you end up coming out better on the other side. So
there's nothing better than seeing your drill partner succeed.
Oh no. Yeah. I like it more than watching myself succeed, I win and I'm whatever, but then I'll watch Eddie or Ryan or Vivo or Mike or Kellen win. And it's Brock got a pin this weekend at Hickory. I literally almost did a backflip. I was up in the air screaming for him, and there's nothing like it. It's like a rush.
So let's step outside of wrestling. You got a personal life outside of wrestling. It's your last year of high school. I'm sure when you were a freshman, I probably told you, and some other seniors probably told you, it's the quickest 4 years of your life. Enjoy every minute of it. How fast did these 4 years go?
dude. It's so bad. Like, actually, I was just thinking about it yesterday. Like, it literally freshman year felt like it dragged a little bit, and
Yep.
then sophomore, junior, senior.
Yep.
It's like I woke up in this body. It's so odd.
And
And I tried to take every day, 100%, and I don't have any regrets. But man, it, like, you can say it till you're blue in the face, but until you actually experience it,
Yeah.
there's nothing like it.
Mm-mm.
Those years are so fast.
So you guys are pushing what on the end of the second quarter? Almost done with the first semester?
Yeah, I think our quarter ends like December 19th is when finals are. Maybe a little bit before that, maybe after. I think finals are before Christmas this year. I'm almost positive.
Nice. So you guys went through homecoming. You got prom coming up. What are some things you're really looking forward to as this year goes on?
We got a cool winter formal that's coming up, so I'm excited to kind of any chance I like to get a little dressed up in a suit and tie and not show off, but I like to look good. So I'm excited for that. I'm a part of NHS, so we got a couple really cool service opportunities coming up. I think we might go back to United Way, package some meals. Last time we were there, we got over 1 million meals packaged up at United Way. I'm the treasurer for that group, so I think maybe this year we're gonna like donate time during sometime in the winter, January, February, at like a soup kitchen. So some cool stuff for sure.
That's awesome. We talked before the show, before we started. You have a 3.9 GPA.
Yeah.
You're an athlete, state wrestler athlete, future state champ, putting it out there. We're gonna manifest it. Future state champ. And oh, brother. All right. I joke around. Everyone knows that. Future state champ, 3.9 GPA, athlete, student athlete. And then you also volunteer. 1 million meals is awesome.
It wasn't just our group. It wasn't NHS. There are so many different people. Like, I think Boardman, Walmart, McDonald. There's a bunch of people there. So it wasn't just. I'm not saying it was me or just South Range, but as a collective people, we came together and were able to do that. So it was really cool.
That's awesome that, kids are still going out and doing stuff like that.
It's a dope place.
Yeah.
United Way is very cool.
What are some of Tyson Seasoltz's hobbies that he likes to do outside of school and wrestling?
So I'm kind of a nerd. I don't know if you can even see this guy in the background here. That is from Star Wars. Over there are some of my vinyl records. Those are some signs that somehow I found and came across. But in my free time, honestly, if I'm not wrestling, lifting, or hanging out with people or like my girl, it's video games like Minecraft, Spider-Man, like reading comic books, listening to music. I love music. I collect vinyl for like a hobby. So
that's awesome. Tyson, we're going to leave off on this one last question. I don't want to I know you got to get to bed here soon. You got to wake up at 5:30, but this will be the last question. And it's a question for me because I feel like every wrestler at some point goes through this. For me, it was in 6th grade. I was done. I didn't want to do it anymore. I hated it. I was sick of it. You may not have had that moment. You may have, but what would you say to a young wrestler, a young youth wrestler, middle school, or even high school? That's, they're sick of it. They don't like the weight cutting anymore. They don't like practicing anymore. They don't like the competition anymore. What would be something you say to that young wrestler, that doesn't have it in them anymore?
Just know that you're heard. Like, everybody goes through it. Everybody goes through like dips and valleys and highs and lows, and you're going to love it, then you're going to hate it, then you're going to win a tournament, then you're going to lose a tournament, then it's going to be ups and downs. But as long as you find a part of it that you love, and you don't have to love every part of a thing in order to like it, but if you can find one part that you really enjoy, and you can stick with it long enough, it'll be tenfold dividends of just results and of like fun and everything else. And it is what you make it. And if you don't love it enough to put in the extra time and energy and effort, like I had to learn how to love hard work. And like, if I wanted to achieve my goals and my end results, I have to do what I do, you know? And once you look at it from I get to do it, not I have to do it. I shouldn't have said I have to do it. I get to do it. You know, it's a goal that I get to achieve, that God has given me the gifts to walk, to breathe, to think, and to be an athlete, you know? And when you think of it from a standpoint of gratitude and like, I get to do it and like, I have fun with this part, so I'm really going to stick to this part. You know, I love shooting. I love takedowns. You know, I don't really necessarily like really grindy like positions, or I don't like that every day, but man, I love, you know, that feeling when I have that gold around my neck. So just stick with it, find a part that you love about it, and keep on keeping on, I guess.
Tyson, thank you so much. Good luck the rest of the way. I
you.
know you're going to do some pretty big things, and I can't wait to cover it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, have a good night.
You too, dude.
Well, everybody, that was Tyson Seesholtz, last year's state runner-up. I'm calling it right now, the future state champ. He's fist pumping in the background right now. You know, such a good kid, such a good family. Spend a lot of time with his dad, JT. Unbelievable guy. You know, Tyson really, 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 really loves his family. And his dad's the one that, you know, takes him to all these long tournaments. His mom's supporting him every which way she can. They're such a good family. I was so happy to hear when Tyson was coming to South Range. I knew I'd have I'm a little bro him here for a second, but I knew I'd have a little buddy to talk to. But he could probably beat me when I was when he was a freshman. You know, such a good kid. So glad to see he's doing well and going to a big program. With that being said, I'm going to try my hardest to get 2 interviews out a week. This is my commitment to the YSN family, YSN wrestling family. I'm going to get 2 interviews out a week, whether it's athletes, coaches, whoever it might be. Shoot, I might pull the D3 coach of the year out of retirement for an interview. You never know what could happen with me. I'm a wild card. So thank you for tuning in. This is the first episode of YSN Live Wrestling. Thank you guys so much, and have a good night, everybody.
Love hearing Chris Colucci talk about himself as the wild card.
He is a wild card. Oh, my.
He is the wild card. Great interview with Tyson and Fur, and I mean, some of those things down the stretch, some of those questions that I think Fur kind of stumbled into at the end were awesome. I mean, hearing Tyson talk about, you know, the work that he does off of the mat with his classmates at, you know, for the United Way, the give back, all that stuff that he gets excited about, and then have him talk about the tough stuff, the dirty jobs that you have to do that end up getting gold around your neck. Like, he hates doing X, but he loves getting Y. Like, that is welcome to life. And I think wrestlers get life a lot easier and a lot quicker than some other athletes. I don't necessarily, I know it's not going to be popular with Fur, probably not with Tyson as well. I think hockey players have it the worst. Like, I was texting Fur as they were talking about the toughest sports. Wrestling certainly up there. But whenever they get weapons, let me know. Like, hockey players have sticks, and they're doing it on razor blades on ice. I think they have a little bit advantage, but
you're encouraged to fight.
Yeah, like, hey, drop the glove. Like, you're doing MMA on ballerina on ice. So, but I certainly think wrestling is incredibly tough. I think that great things come from wrestlers, the grit, the determination, all that stuff. I mean, Tyson C. Schultz is one of the toughest people that I know. I mean, you look at just the way that he is, but Fur is a great example of somebody who's been there, done that. I don't think either one of us would be able to get that kind of interview out of Tyson the way that Fur did. And that's what made it special.
Not only has Fur been in that room, but they were teammates for a year. So they got to work together. They got to be literally in the same room with the same goal and the same mindset with each other, in the foxhole together. So there's a bond there that I don't think you or me or anyone really wants. Not even Gary Altizer could have pulled out with all his wrestling knowledge. There's something special about that bond when you're literally there with the person. And that was one of the greatest interviews that we have in the format that we like to do, are the ones that kind of morph into conversations. They kind of lose that interview kind of feel, and they kind of turn into just shooting the breeze with someone. And that's what that one did. It kind of morphed into just two wrestlers just talking wrestling. It wasn't even a formal interview anymore. You could see it kind of shift into that about halfway through, and those are the best ones.
That's a great call, because I've told Chris before. He's not a good interviewer. He's a great person to have a conversation with, like great. And you could tell that when, like you said, when he kicked his way out of, no pun intended, when he kicked his way out of the interview side and just wanted to have a chat with his buddy, and you forgot that the camera was there and the microphones were on, like that's when the interview got impressive. And you get Fur joking around, and that's the stuff that we love, being able to have. Now we know that it's tough for us to have those conversations now with some. A lot of times the first time interviews are challenging because there's an intimidation factor. You don't want to mess up. You don't want to slip up. And it's on our side too. We've had situations where we're like, oh yeah, you're junior year. Well, I'm a senior. Oh crap. Or, it is what it is, but
that's why we started to send out the survey.
Welcome to why we send out the prerequisites.
We're idiots. We need to know.
We are jackasses at the top of the chain there. So yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how impressive Tyson C. Schultz has been, is, and will continue to be, because you talk about it from a standpoint of him going to Drexel. I mean, the study that he's had of knowing what he wants to get into, knowing that it's a top business school, knowing that it's a top entrepreneurial school. Well, those are things that he wants to do. Usually this point in athletes' careers, they're just going to talk about the sport. They're not going to talk about necessarily the programs, and especially male athletes. Female athletes, you have a little bit more like, hey, I'm planning for tomorrow, but this is a real reason I'm going is because I want to get my education. I want to make solid financial decisions, so I'm not in $100,000 of debt coming out of college, things of that nature that you don't always expect from guys. Tyson has it together, and he will be the only thing ever in my life that I actively root for out of Philadelphia. I can tell you that with 100% certainty. I'm rooting for him this year. I do hope that he ends up as a state champion. I hope he accomplishes every dream. He's got a great family. His girlfriend has a great family. He's a great young man. And I just want to see the world come to his fingertips and see what he's able to do, not just for himself, but for the next generation, because he's quite the flag bearer for the sport of wrestling. And there's a question from Mike Caps in the comments. Just curious, did he play football? He did, up to, I believe, sophomore year, and then he moved on from football onto wrestling, focusing on wrestling, because there was a lot of this guy's going to be a D1 wrestler, and he needs to focus, he needs to travel, he needs to do that. And the thing that I love that often goes kind of unsung is in talking with Dave Rock and talking with the coaching staff, like they were 100% backing Tyson. Like they want to see him succeed. And there's a lot of schools that won't. There's a lot of coaches that'll get kind of miffed because Tyson was a dog football player too. I mean, I'm pretty sure he made all YSN. He may have had all conference as well when he did suit up for the burgundy and gold on the gridiron. But what I can tell you is he made the right decision. You know, there's times, excuse me, there's times where you sit there and you look and you go, maybe if he had a chance to do it again, he'd do it different. He made the right decision. I mean, dude's going to Drexel. Hey,
he's got good things coming. And then that kind of goes into when you have that conversation with high school athletes about, multiple sports versus specialization. I think sometimes it takes specialization and it kind of demonizes it and said, you can't specialize. That's not good for you. It's not true. Specialization is not evil. It's not like wrong. Some people need to specialize, and especially if you're elite of the elite. Like if you're like, no, hey, I'm going to be a D1 athlete and that's what I'm going to be. And I'm going to make sure that like nothing stands in the way of that dream. That's when you start to specialize a little bit. And then it even gets even more when you're in the individual sports like wrestling, like your swimming, your tennises, your track and fields, your cross countries, when it's just you and you're focused on just you for your pushing yourself forward. That's important. Multiple sport athletes are great and coaches are looking for them. And there are a lot of college coaches on record that say, I love multiple sport athletes and I will seek them out. So yeah, multiple sports is great. But I think sometimes in that conversation, when we're trying to get kids to do multiple sports, it tends to kind of say, well, specialization is wrong. You can't specialize. And that's not the case. I think it's a case-by-case basis. And there are some athletes that are built to specialize and they should specialize. And Tyson is a great example of that.
I think there's also a caveat with what sports they're participating in, right? I think if Tyson was a golfer and that was his second sport, there'd be a lot less of, hey, you could probably do both. But when you're talking about football and you're talking about potential 16-week runs like South Range was having, 14 to 16 weeks, that's a lot of time to commit to your secondary sport whenever your primary sport's right around the corner, right? I imagine that's Aaron Walker. I don't know that name, but a lot of people, East Palestine guy, he was a senior when I was a freshman. He was a basketball player and a baseball player. He signed on to go to Georgia Tech. Anthony, you can clap because that's your squad, we think, this week, this day, this hour, this minute. But he signs on to go to Georgia Tech, and all of a sudden he's like, I'm not going to play basketball. And there was a lot of people that were like, why? There's really no contact. Aaron was a 3-point shooter, but it also interferes because you have all things that you're doing during the basketball season that you can't do, which with baseball right around the corner. I mean, there's specializations at junior year to senior year, or no matter where you are that you go, okay, you're special. We have a young golfer that's coming up who will remain nameless to this point, but if you know, he's a multi-sport star right now, but I imagine when he gets up into the ranks, you're probably going to see him focus in and lock in on one particular sport, which he's pretty good at, and getting national recognition.
Right.
And what are you going to say to that? Like, you can't, when you're talented like that, you got it. And that's why back in my day, everybody thought they had talent so they could specialize, and they were just like self-specializing, myself included. And it backfired on probably 80% of the people that did it, because you lost out on moments and opportunities and being in the weight room and some of the stories that other people have. Specialization isn't a bad thing, but it's also not a bad thing to be part of something special.
Right.
And that's the difference. And, unless you think that you are 100% going pro, and especially in these or getting a D1 scholarship, because I promise you there's not many D2 coaches out there that are sitting there looking for specialized athletes or having those specialized athletes fall into their laps, because specialized athletes are pretty much the real specialized athletes are the ones that are going D1 and moving on and winning national recognition. You know, how bad do you think that Crestview wanted Abby Emms to play basketball? You know, just to be able to do this. You know, we've had that conversation before.
Yep.
I mean, there's a lot, but she's on the USA team. Yeah, I think she's making the right decision or made the right decision, staying on volleyball. So good stuff, man. It was nice seeing you yesterday, Anthony, says Bobby Havrilla.
Yeah, I was. Got the chance to go see Canfield girls against Ursuline and got to see good old Bobby.
That's it. That's
It was
one of our biggest fans, and that's all
it was,
the red carpet.
Before the big news from Michigan dropped, so he was happy when I saw him. I don't know. If
yeah, that's
he might still be going through it. Bobby, we're praying for you, buddy. Was that a dramatic pause, or did I lose you? We might have lost PJ. At least it happened after the Tyson Seafolds interview was done, right? So, hey, technology, way to have good timing. Way to pick your battles, Wi-Fi. Let's see if he comes back on. So DJ's gone, but Bobby, John Gruden, I don't hate it. I think he's loving life, and I think he loves that gig he has. He gets to kind of be a personality, and I don't know. Michigan, maybe you should bring on Jim Tressel, right? Go see if Urban Meyer will do it. The people that actually know how to win that game, maybe. Unfortunately, Harbaugh's out for the next 10 years, so you can't bring him back. So while those notifications, Bobby, came through as me and Logan were calling the game last night. Logan Starmus, who's going to be the voice of the Ursuline Irish basketball teams for their home games, but we're sitting there during the game, and I think maybe at halftime we get the first notification. We're like, holy. What, he got fired? We thought fired because of he didn't have a great season, or he's 17-8 in his career. So wow. And then we got another one that said why he got fired. We're like, wow. And then he gets detained, and everyone knows how that story unfolded. On the same day that Philip Rivers comes out of retirement, Tuesday, in the national scene of sports, ESPN and in the national sports world were probably in heaven, because they're this is the best news day in the world. Obviously not good news on the Michigan front. We never like to see that kind of stuff happen, but just news, like two things that you are just nuts that you never see happening on the same day. Pretty impressive. I liked Philip Rivers' press conference. He came out and he's like, oh, no Zoom, this is good. Man, Colts, you're in a desperate spot when you're bringing back a 44-year-old guy out of retirement to be on your practice squad. He will be, and I saw this, he will be the first grandfather to be on an NFL roster. That's wild. Philip Rivers has children that I think are older than his head coach. That's wild too. That doesn't make any sense though, because he's 44. I mean, if he unless it's a really young coach. I don't know the age, but I thought I heard that. Crazy stuff. Don't know if DJ's going to be able to hop back on. We are at the pretty much hour mark anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and roll the spark. If DJ hops back on, he can have his spark too. But Joe Dickey Electric, one of our great sponsors. They are everything electrical, and you can check them out at DickeyElectric.com. They're also the sponsor of maybe the best segment in your midday sports show library. Maybe. I think so, but I'm kind of biased. Here's your Joe Dickey Electric. What's your spark? my spark today actually has nothing to do with sports because I was kind of out of sports sparks today, and obviously we had, the national news that everyone's talking about, and I wanted to skip that. I don't want that to be my spark. You ever binge a TV show for a while? It takes a minute to finish a TV show. 4 or 5 seasons, especially if it's a long one. So you're spending depending on how much time you have. I used to be able to finish TV shows in 2 weeks, but obviously can't do that anymore. So you're spending 2 months on a TV show, 4 seasons of it, and you get all the way through it, and you're finally on this last episode, and you love it. And the last episode, you're just like, that was how it ends, and you kind of mix between you want more, and you also are like, the way that ended, it kind of don't want more. Happened to me last night. I finally finished watching, kind of late on this because it's an older show, but it's called Man in the High Castle on Amazon Prime. So I finished it, and I feel like it was one of those ones where they were probably told when they started to write season 4 that they weren't getting a season 5, but they expected a season 5 when they got to season 4. One of those things, because it felt like all of a sudden nothing was fleshed out anymore, and it was kind of wrapping up pretty quick. So they did wrap things up, but the pacing wasn't right, and I'm not going to spoil anything in case people want to watch it, but I just felt like it was, you could tell. I think you could tell that they were kind of told this will be your last season, and that probably surprised them a little bit because they had plans to maybe draw some of those things out, maybe another season or 2. They ended it the same kind of way I think the book ended from what I've been reading, because I kind of, as soon as it ended, I was like, I got to find out if they were stuck with this ending because that's how the book ended or what. So I did some deep diving, some journalism there. The book ended in kind of the same fashion, the really kind of vague ending that makes you kind of interpret yourself. I don't mind what happened in the end. My issue is the pacing. So if you're out there, you've ever watched a TV show like that and you feel like that pain, I know Game of Thrones obviously did the same thing to a lot of people. Sam, if you're watching, you know what Game of Thrones did. But at least with Game of Thrones, that whole last season, you kind of knew, oh, this is not going to go well, because I think from episode 1 of season 8, you kind of understood they're packing it in. This one, like the last season of Man in the High Castle, up to the last maybe 2 episodes, felt fine. And then you kind of go into episode, I think 9, because there's 10 of them. So you go into episode 9 going, we have 2 episodes left, and you have to wrap this stuff up. And there's so much to wrap up. And then you felt those last 2 episodes were like, let's tie this bow, get it up, go. And that's what it was. So if you're out there, you've been to TV show and you were kind of, stuck on the ending, the pain it feels. So I felt that last night. So that's my spark out there. That's my nerd spark. I guess DJ's not coming back. So we'll just go, may the sports be with you, everybody. We'll be back on Monday. No show on Friday, as always. We have plenty of basketball, though, on tonight and tomorrow. I will be in Maplewood for the girls tonight against Badger. Tomorrow I'll be in Jackson Milton for a boys-girls doubleheader. So those ones will be on. But then we have plenty outside of where I'm at, of course, on the network as well. Go to ysnlive.com/live to find out where we'll be every single day. For myself and DJ, we want to say let the sports be with you, everyone. We will see you after the weekend. Have a great one. Be back on Monday. We'll be better. We'll be better next week, like we always are.
YSN thanks you for watching this presentation of your sports network. For stories, stats, and more, go to ysnlive.com.